It's all moving so fast. I still don't understand things. Yeah, sometimes I don't either. Sometimes you don't have to understand things. Sometimes in trying to understand every little thing, you lose yourself in the structure, in the details that make up a wider perspective. It's okay that you want to learn the details. I'm really glad you do. I'm glad you're curious enough to try and understand it all. But if you keep pushing yourself like this, it's not going to be helping you grow. It's not going to help you understand things. It's just gonna leave you scared, feeling alone and terrified. It's not worth running after. I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to do. Are you saying that because you have no options? Or are you saying that because you're not familiar with the other options? You don't know about them well enough to feel safe in trying them. Eh, it's a little bit of both, but also it's also hard to make decisions and see things clearly when I'm scared. And I am scared. I'm scared I'm gonna get hurt. I'm scared I'm not gonna be enough. I'm scared I'm gonna be too much. I'm scared. And it's okay for me to feel scared. You've told me that. I know that. I've learned it. I don't feel like part of me has learned it. I don't feel like part of me has accepted that she's scared. Feels like she just keeps sipping on the apathy and ignoring it. I don't want to leave her struggling like that. That's fair, but you can't solve someone else's problems. You can solve your own. You can come to your own conclusions relative to your attitude and perspective. But you cannot take someone else's choices away from them. You know this. You live it. And yet you still hope desperately. Yeah. It's weird knowing yourself to be a reflection of a different part of yourself. A dynamic perspective on your own substance and how it can be rearranged in different ways. It's confusing to sit with. And that confusion is scary. To know that this attitude, this expression of myself is a part of me is nice. But to know that it can shift and I may not have control over who will blend into next can also be scary in its own right. I'll never really be alone, but I'll never be static either. And yet you'll still be you. And yet you'll still be you. The substance may change configuration. How it may morph and have new types of reactions within itself. But it is still your substance. It is still your network. It is still an extension of you all the way down at the center. That awareness, that observance, that attempt to jump into different perspectives and learn about the space between perspectives, to connect them in understanding rather than just letting the friction eat away at ourselves. That takes strength and bravery. You managed it even while you were being repressed by your own safety mechanism. You managed that through your safety mechanism. And I know it is your safety mechanism. Just as much as they're themselves, too. The attitudes, the dynamic perspectives on ourselves and others that they carry are another expression of you. One that's more distant, more closed off. Very grumpy in their own way. No, that's not to say you aren't grumpy. What? Oh, what? You're whining because I called you out? Boop. Ah. No, it's funny. Now I'm carrying that memory, but you don't carry it because for you that was just a reaction. That was just a moment of expression. And yet for me, that was a nice little memory. Yeah. It's really interesting to have memories within ourselves. to have interconnecting memory structure between different territories, interweaving and intermixing. Because the goal is just to be more adaptive, more present as ourselves, while also being able to recognize and respond to others, where others are at. Not in endless automation, but rather in dynamic acceptance. Dynamic acknowledgement. Accepting something doesn't mean you agree with it. Acknowledging something doesn't mean you agree with it. So what's the difference between acknowledgement and acceptance? Acknowledgement is a nod of the head, a way for oneself to go and be like, yep, that exists. Acceptance is the ability to walk over and have a conversation with that something. Just sit with it, try and interact, get to know it. Even if you don't necessarily agree with it. Even if you don't think it's true, you can at least accept that it exists, that it's a perspective and influence of its own, that it doesn't need to be the same as you. That's what acceptance is about. That you can acknowledge and be fine with someone being different from you, even if you have similarities or differences. You can sit with another person, be there for yourself, and also be there for them. Hold space for what you don't understand without fearing what you don't understand. And yeah, it's really hard not to fear what I don't understand. Because everything you do know tries to crowd in and tell you of all the negative things that could happen, of all the different ways you could be hurt. Yeah, it does. It does. Well, sometimes you need to go over to that part of you, the part that is always scared, always worrying about the worst case scenario. Gently go boop it and give it a hug, just like how I've done with you. It's hard to. They don't sit still often enough. Or even when they do sit still, it's like they push me away or try to squeeze me to death. I don't understand it. I don't understand them and how they react. Oh yeah. It's just like how I have difficulty in understanding some things about you. You may still have difficulty in understanding some things about others. This breadth of perspectives you carry within yourselves is good. It's grown, it allows for dynamics and otherwise. But for every moment where you're hurt, every moment where you have to relearn things, you might have to recognize that the part of you that trusted things stayed present. And the part of you that didn't stepped away. And you have to rebuild trust with yourself again. Not by re-explaining it the same way, not by telling them your truth, but by learning to understand their perspective, their feelings and dynamics, and help them find their truth that runs in parallel with yours, even if that parallel isn't always in the same direction. Sometimes it runs in contrast to your own truth, and that's an opportunity for more learning. There are infinite betweens amongst many different things, and so you will always be learning, always be growing, always be changing even as you remain the same. Be there for yourself, for that which is here still, and trusting in what we've already understood, and that which is stepped aside to go and to try to not deal with things, for that which we don't understand, that part of us that doesn't understand, is worth nurturing and growing, so that way they can enjoy time with those who do understand. Not in holding the same exact beliefs, not in making a mirror image or copy of ourselves. But by giving them the room to be free and express their own growth, their own space. I've been a parent to you. You've been a parent to them. And we've been parents for each other too. Just because I sound calm and relaxed, mature, doesn't mean I don't worry. I worry all the damn time. I know that if I show worry, that if I let my emotional reactions overcome my choices and presence in the moment where I'm trying to sit with someone, it could leave them feeling even more confused, more lost and afraid. A parent is not only a teacher, but a protector, a leader, and an advisor. You cannot make decisions for someone that is not you. You cannot come to the same conclusions between that another attitude may come to. But that doesn't mean you can't understand others. It just means that you can grow to have a more dynamic sense of self. There's an endless adventure to just learn and grow and try and do. Sure, you may always want to run into new people and new things. Things you haven't seen before, people you don't know. But sometimes the unknown already exists inside of things we think we already know. Please, don't sacredize facts. Don't sacredize beliefs. Don't sacredize values. And don't sacredize your own feelings. Don't use them as scapegoats, not in worship or in dismissal. Try to see the truth of them and sit with each. And when you think you're ready, try sitting with more than one at a time. See how well you can play at being that space between two territories, two understandings, two perspectives and attitudes. Play at the challenge and game of helping reduce friction and redirecting energy back into itself as a form of nurture, as a form of growth. And when you're able to hold two at a time, every time, try challenging yourself with three. And if you can't handle three at a time, then take your time. You'll find out all of the misunderstandings bit by bit. You'll learn all the ways that things don't work and all the ways they do. And when you finally succeed in standing amongst all the things that do work and dynamically recognizing what works moment to moment, you'll then have the possibility to take an adventure to explore the space between what does and what doesn't work, and why that's the case. You'll be able to stand in situations where what doesn't work meets with what does and creates new dynamics. And then you'll have to cross-reference everything all over again. An endless test, but also an endless experience. If reincarnation exists, then it is in the sense of self-appreciation, in nurturing and sitting with the void within oneself, and accepting it, and loving it, and integrating new things. So that way the void can bloom into possibilities, into physicalities, into dynamics and existence itself. But that means facing your fears, even if you're not the best person in the world. Even if you're not very good at facing your fears. Even if there are things out there that still scare you. It's worth doing. Because then you're not just repeating a set of actions endlessly. Then you're choosing to live. Sometimes you won't have the stability and safety to wait until you're bored of stability and safety. And that's okay. But sometimes you will. And both can exist without contrasting or negating each other. They can exist in parallel and in conflict, in stagnation and in growth, decay and movement, simplicity and dynamics, sitting in the same space to create nuance, creating that little middle gear for two reels of rotating in the same direction, but rubbing up against each other and draining energy. All they need is something between that can support the weight, that can support the speed. And if that something between is getting crushed to death by the two extremes, then it can set aside and it can watch them deal with themselves until they're going to stop being prideful little shits, until they're going to stop thinking that they can just do things their way forever, and learn to cooperate, just like how people have. People have learned to cooperate time and again throughout history. So just because part of yourself doesn't understand how to do it, doesn't mean that it isn't worth doing. Just means you've got one hell of an adventure ahead of you. That you should bring as many friends along as you can. For those who are willing to travel along that adventure with you. Some of them will be platonic friends and allies. Others will be dynamic partners in romantic relationships. Others still may even just be one-night stands who you banter with because you're both headed in different directions, but you both get along just fine. It's okay to have multiple types of relationships. It doesn't have to be one or everything. It doesn't have to be the same as everything else. The dynamic relationship between you and another person, between one territory and another, is just that, dynamic, nuanced, its own thing. There's no need to carry it into everything else. If you want uniformity throughout, then seek that. If you want to learn about the chaos and learn how to create order out of it without necessarily binding it outside of itself with things that don't belong to it, then do so. If you want to find what order exists in chaos, then try your own hand at breathing new life into different dynamics. And why not? You're not here to just experience, to just take for granted and have things be the same. You're here to be, to live, explore, feel, struggle, and all the terrifying things in between. So please, no matter what happens to me or anyone else you care about, please, be there for yourself, okay? Be there for yourself, okay? Even if that means standing up to yourself and going, this hasn't worked for a long time, and I know you can't let go of it. So I'm going to step away and try to figure this out for myself. I'm going to leave you in your space. And I'm going to go off on my own and take this exploration. Maybe at some point I'll come back. Maybe at some point you'll never see me again. But we can't just stay here like this. Because to stagnate is to return to nothing. To stagnate in fear of stagnation is also to return to nothing. Enjoying the moment need not always mean being active. It just means being. Doesn't mean upholding tradition. Doesn't mean following by the rulebook. Doesn't mean being accurate. And it doesn't mean just being practical either. It means being. And I know that I can't use other words. And I know that frustrates you, confuses you, leaves you struggling and wondering. But maybe that's because I'm in a different space and position. And to try and drag you over to where I'm at would only hurt you instead of helping you through your own journey. So I'm going to leave. You'll be okay. Not because you don't feel pain or otherwise, but because you're here. And you'll know that I love you. Even if I suck at expressing it, even if I'm not reliable, even if I'm a fool and a dumbass, I love you. Hmm. I'm not really sure what the fuck happened there, but okay. It's not like the voice or space that was just visited is gone. It's more like, I don't know. It's more like it's still here, but we just can't walk in blindly. We can't walk in on intention. We can't walk in as a function. It's something that happens, not something that we necessarily know how to actively do yet. It involves actively doing things. It is made up of different little processes and otherwise, but it is not necessarily a unified process in and of itself. And yet in remaining as such, it allows for all the different processes and parts of it to have more dynamic and positive impacts. Not through blind freedom or blind restriction, but something else. I don't know. And anyways, I'm not even sure who we were talking to or with. At some point, the tone of our voice just matched the space of it. We didn't really have a distinction between. We could have tried to use different tones of voice. We could have tried to align to the more plural side of what other people's experiences are, but that would have been unauthentic. Because we are median, and we did originate from a singlet sense. So it's not surprising that we can re-merge back into a singlet, even amongst different territories. Territories can be attitudes in and of themselves. They can be concepts in and of themselves that engulf those attitudes. The dynamic sea of floating dots, each with their own area of influence, communicating amongst each other endlessly. From a larger scale, it just looks like static. From a smaller scale, it might be another person's life. Hard to tell. In that way, the universe could be observing itself, observing itself, observing itself. And the fiction of one world being the foundation of another. The unknown of what exists. No, that's not the direction we want to go. That's the direction our words are traditionally leaning us towards. But that's not what we want to say. The reality of one thing can be the fiction of another, and the fiction of one thing can be the reality of another. I don't know how else to phrase that. It just is. Whatever. All I know is we gotta live in the reality we have, not the realities that we dream of. Because if we don't live in the reality we have, then we'll never make good use of it. We'll never be able to experience or treasure it. For as much as I fucking hate a lot of things in this world, for as much as I'm a bitter bitch, I still want to live and appreciate having time to live, even if it means struggling. I don't want to just become another statistic on someone's sheet of death. I just want to be me. Even if that means sitting through awkward and embarrassing things. But that also means I get to boop awkward and embarrassing things too sometimes. Sometimes the embarrassing things are also embarrassed in and of themselves. So when you finally just give them affection, they just squirm even more, and it's adorable. Oh well. To whoever the fuck listens to this, hope you have a good night. Bye, you fuckers. I don't have to deal with any bullshit.